I first came here, like I was doing other music and stuff, and I sort of had played shows in like little shows in different countries and stuff, and I ended up in Austria, and I sort of met just a lot of bands and a lot of people who all seemed to be on the same sort of wavelength, and they were all sort of quite communal in the way that they were set up, and that everyone lived within about 4 streets from each other as well. And those people just really welcomed me in. And just said like, you should move here, and kept saying it, you should move here. So I sort of just did. And now it's funny because it's like, now life is like the opposite of that. Where that community is not really part of my life anymore. Just through the fact that I'm quite a sort of focused person, I sort of keep going and walking. And now what keeps me in Vienna is actually the solitude which I can have. It's an accurate window on what I made when I made it. It's probably I'm trying not to sort of place any more onto it than that. I'm trying to just say that was my output for that specific period of time. It definitely says something now that I look back on it. It definitely means something now that I look back on it, but it didn't mean that to me while I was making it. So it's more of a, like, retrospectively I can see what's going on in there and what must have been going on in my head. It became more of an aftershock, well, like part of the reason why I called it TREMORS. It became like an aftershock. There's 2 different sides, I would say, to the way that the lyrics seem to have come out. There's this one side which is more of a sort of philosophical look at what's going on with myself as a human, and a kind of need to help myself through all of that. And observational, and being very like looking at what's going on there,
checking
trying
yourself,
to work out how that works in my life. And then there's the other side, which is more the relationship side of the album, which is not directly tied in, but it's all about sort of learning how to live with those things. Actually. It feels like a motion album to me in terms of it's the kind of record which I hope that people build memories to. You know, even if they're not directly relating to the lyrical content of the song, I love the idea that my favourite albums all come to me with vivid images of travelling. You throw yourself into community and society and communication with other people because that's how you survive, and that's what you love about travelling. But at the same time you are unquestionably alone. Because it's a unique individual experience. Which only you can reflect on.
That's right.
And that's I would tie it to that. It's a dichotomy. The thing which makes me the most happy is feeling that I'm feeling. And from that point of view, that can also mean that sadness makes me happy. Because being able to, actually it's to do with being able to feel beauty, or like seeing, really noticing beauty, and like that makes me happy. I remember the first song I ever taught myself to play, which was Peggy Sue.
Peggy Sue, really?
Buddy Holly, I'd gone to see the Buddy Holly musical, and then I remember sitting afterwards there was a guitar in a pub or something. My parents had taken us to a pub afterwards, and I sat down and I played the chords to it, and I was like, that's how that song goes.
And
I was about 6 years old. For me, it's it's just that simple. Like that is who I am.
Yeah.
And you know, as we said, you know, about growing up in a place where you're not really, you either don't feel like you fit in, or you feel like the place you want to go you don't fit in, or that somehow you've got this sort of heritage which means that you can't be who you want to be.
Yeah.
There's a big part in choosing to take a name for myself.
Yeah.
And say, all right, I am now called Sohn, the most blank thing you could get. You know, a new person, being son in German, and also a word which doesn't bring anything to mind. So actually, I get to construct from the beginning.
Yeah.
David Byrne. There's a bridge over the tracks at Westbahnhof.
Yeah.
It's a very unparticular bridge, not pretty. It's made of steel.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
You go over and there's like the Wombats hostel thing.
That's right. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That bridge.
Yeah.
When I first moved here, I lived in that kind of area, and it couldn't be more obvious than being on that bridge that you're not in the place that you're from.
Yeah.
Because, for a start, there's train tracks underneath your feet.
Yeah.
The sun's setting in the west.
Yeah.
And those tracks lead directly west.
Yeah.
So, that's England.
Yeah.
It was really important on the album to do it the way that it was done.
Yeah.
Because I'd been playing the acoustic version of Tempest at a lot of the shows. And a lot of people who were involved in the project, like, you know, label and manager and that, they were all like, that's a great part of the show. It's such a sort of strong moment. We think you should put it on the album acoustically. Yeah. And I knew that they were right, but I can't explain the feeling that it was just, it had to be the way it is on the album. Yeah. Like, there was no question of it in my mind. It had to be the first song. Yeah. It had to be the way it is on the album. Yeah. Simply because it is like, it's like a trailer for the album. Yeah. In its own way. It's like the pre-bit before you open the curtain, and the wheel is the curtain opening to the show. So Vienna's mainly special because it's a weird feeling to know that you can kind of walk to the place where you're about to play. Yeah, that's cool, huh? And it's always a bit of a bizarre one because you know, you can go and have lunch from your house, and then later just go down and play this massive show. Yeah, exactly. So, and this time bizarre. It's an arena, which is like, for me, since I came here, was a target. Yeah. There's a feeling growing inside me of what I can hear myself doing next, which is interesting because, you know, album kind of was finished off 3 months ago already. So I'm sort of getting ready to think about what I'm going to make next. Yeah. And I hear like more wood. Wood. Somehow more wooden elements going into stuff, and I can't really explain that.
Rabbit.
Hole.
Flame.
What was that?
Flame.
Torch.
Nipple.
Rub.
Vienna.
Wine.
Night.
Air.
Sock.
Soul.
Redemption.
Peace.
Vienna Wurstelstand.
Mustard.